Today, we're going to talk about out-of-home advertising. This particular session sponsored by and brought to you by the inspiration from Hattie Simons. Thank you, Hattie, for the idea of running this particular session, which is exploring something that is, well, clearly going under the radar for most brands and most organizations and most marketers, even though it is a significantly growing area and a significantly growing channel of opportunity for those who are looking to pay attention. Now, this stuff is not free. This stuff is interesting. This stuff has always been with us, but it is something that's kind of on the periphery, I guess, for most of us in marketing, because it is not the first go-to digital or online or offline tool that we would first think of, or channel that we would first consider. It isn't in your face in the same way that social media is. It isn't as well established as things like email marketing, but it is there. So what is out-of-home advertising or out-of-home promotion or communication? Well, the definition, according to the Advertising Association UK, is that it's any advertising that reaches the consumer while he or she is outside the home. So you can think of this as being billboards, poster advertising, interactive street advertising, stuff that you see at airports, stuff that you see on the sides of buses. It comes in lots of different styles and guises, but the one key thing is that this will reach you and your customers whilst they are out and about. So there's going to be a key theme which is going to run through this, is that we see this everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Some countries it's more prevalent than others, but it's when you're out and about. So if you think about just for a moment how something like this can impact on your customer's journey through their life, then possibly this might be a channel that allows you to plug into moments in their life where they are otherwise not going to be able to experience you. We'll come on to that in just a little while. It's an interesting, different concept. It's an interesting, different way of viewing this as a channel that could open up those moments that would otherwise go unnoticed by you. So we'll explore that. But out-of-home advertising is super busy, okay? It really is busy. So we're seeing this take shape on what we might call street furniture. So this is bus shelters to shopping malls, roadside advertising. And of course, it can reach very, very quickly and very effectively the entire urban population passing by those places, those locations, those venues, or it passes them by whilst they're in a cafe, for example. It will actually move past their field of view and they could potentially encounter it. For a lot of us, it is large format and billboard advertising. And these are what you might call podiums that create memorable brand messaging and increase the perception of a brand, and particularly through campaigns. And we see a lot of fashion, we see a lot of consumer-driven products using large format and billboards as you approach London, for example. And if you're coming along the M4 driving, you see these huge, large, or you could call them mega format billboards and advertising hoardings that really you cannot miss. You simply cannot miss. So it is all of those big things, but it's also slightly smaller things that you might see maybe on, you know, sort of a street corner, for example, at a lower scale. Still all one of the same thing. It's all out-of-home advertising. You also see it on transport advertising that communicates effectively with a captive commuter audience on a regular daily basis. That one is also interesting, because if you think about this, if you're drip feeding messages in, product launches, events, campaigns, those kinds of things, as you're looking to build your brand awareness and position in a very specific target audience, then advertising on transport, be that the London Underground, be that the bus, be that on a train, you get an opportunity here for being in the target audience's line of sight on a regular daily basis. So that might also be interesting to you. At airports and other kind of communication and transport hubs, we often see advertising that will communicate with significant influencers or decision makers, trendsetters, and in interesting cases, international audiences. So you will see next time you go to an airport, either on business travel or on holiday, have a look around and see the kinds of communications that you see. Yes, some of them are in location and in situ advertising to get you to go into that airport sort of shopping store, but others will be advertising brands and being much more kind of aspirational and being on a footprint of a digital space or a street furniture space or an out-of-home advertising space that allows you to plug into that brand and maybe, as we'll see in a moment, giving you a call to action to then maybe engage with that brand in an effective and innovative way. So these could be hooks. They could be little moments in time where you just capture the audience's attention at a big scale and you get them to do something whilst they are out and about. So if you think about airport travel, if you think about being on a commuter bus or train, if you think about something when you're sitting in a cafe in a town or city, those could be moments where actually you've got a little space, you've got a little punctuation in your calendar or your customer has, in which case they have a little moment to maybe scan the QR code or maybe dial the number or maybe visit that website. So they could be little hooks into moments that allow you to intersperse your customer journey that you're looking to choreograph with their daily life. So there could be opportunity here. The power of outdoor, out-of-home or outdoor advertising like this is that it can make a significant contribution to your media or communications mix. There is a view that it is complementary, it can be substantial, and in lots of ways, for lots of brands, actually irreplaceable if it can be proven. Now, I've used the words QR code. Now, of course, what we're looking to do here is not to just create a brand awareness for brand awareness sake, because that is only as good as those two words. It's just making somebody aware of your brand. What we're needing to do, if we're going to seriously consider the power of outdoor or out-of-home advertising, is to make it an integral part of a journey. So as they go around their everyday business, as they move around through the city, the town, the airport, the station, wherever, this is actually punctuating those moments and actually making an opportunity for engagement, making an opportunity to go a little bit deeper with what they see. So there's a creative element to it, but there's also a scientific element to it. Figuring out how these little moments, as they go around their everyday life, how those little moments could be dovetailed in with the kind of propositional messages or communication that you're looking to put out. So where does this kind of fit in the whole scheme of things, the other opportunities that you have? Well, there's quite a lot of research, and this is very well substantiated research, that says actually the way that this can provide reach may well surprise you. All of the internet reach, that includes websites, that includes communities, that includes forums, that includes social media, does not add up to the reach on offer for out-of-home advertising. Out-of-home advertising significantly outperforms any of your existing digital channels in terms of reach, in terms of a percentage, but it also outperforms things like television, radio, newspapers, magazines, and anything that you'd be doing on a regional or local basis. So even though the advertising salesperson is picking up the phone to you and saying, hey, I can give you this great offer in this magazine or this regional, very targeted publication, out-of-home advertising provides you with a higher percentage reach by demographic, by population, if you can get this targeted, than any other medium or channel that you could select, according to significant amounts of research. So it's a serious thing. This is not something that's just, oh yeah, I can't afford that. Oh yeah, no, can't substantiate that. This stuff actually does potentially, and I'll use the word potentially works. And of course, it's not new. This is something that has been around with us for a long, long time, both in very, very primitive, very simple formats, the big poster billboards, which, you'd see the guy up the ladder, literally pasting the new poster onto the billboard. And that would be then replaced a week or a month later with the next one, which would get pasted on top of it, through to, as we saw some 20 years ago in the futuristic movie with Tom Cruise, The Minority Report, where as Tom was moving around in a particular urban space, he was getting personalized in-store and high street advertising as he moved around the shopping mall or as he moved through stores trying to catch the baddies and get away from the villains. So this stuff has been around conceptually in a digital sense for a long, long time. And of course, in the day of the Minority Report, the whole idea here was it was integrating and it was telling us and teaching us, way back then, 20 odd years ago, it was telling us, look, you can't just stick this up there and hope people will engage or understand what you're doing. You're going to have to go a little step further. You're going to have to make this thing interactive. You're going to have to make this thing immersive. You're going to have to make this thing personalized so that as you or Tom walk down the high street, personalized messages are coming in your direction. For Tom, it was because they recognized him. Facial recognition, iris recognition was then triggering off through big data a series of messages that the retailers were then pushing back in his direction. So then if I went down that same street, I would get a different set of messages from those same retailers. But of course, this is all about integration. This is all about engaging in a customer experience to entice you into store, to entice you to engage and act upon the attention that you've just been inspired to pay attention to. So it's interesting if you think about how long this has been with us, but actually, in many ways, how sort of still underdeveloped and under-optimized this opportunity actually is. But it is beginning to take shape. A lot of, as I mentioned earlier, fashion brands, a lot of sort of key significant high street retailers are starting now to embrace the rise of digital out-of-home or outdoor advertising because they realize that they can enhance the real world with digital content, delivering more engaging and interactive experiences. A quote from Clear Channel Outdoor 2022, well-researched, documented and backed up by data and the technology and now the science behind digital out-of-home advertising, which is now becoming a thing. So not only do you walk past this billboard, but you're inspired then to take the next step in the journey that is being presented to you if you engage with the message that you actually see. And so what is the next step of the journey? Well, you could potentially scan the product or scan the, in this case, the fashion sense that is being presented to you, or the name or the brand. Scan those things and you move into an augmented reality space. That dress appears in front of you, or that brand's set of new trainers appears in front of you, and you can turn them through 360 degrees, click on them to then put them into your basket to make a purchase without even going into store, integrating a real world interaction and blending it in an immersive extended reality, as we could call it, way. So actually really starting to move the game on, really starting to move the boundaries out and allow really innovative marketers to really start to help this thing take shape. So it isn't the future. Digital out-of-home advertising really is not the future. This is all about embracing this new, emerging now, in the present opportunity for us. And it's not only bringing outdoor advertising into the digital age, but transforming the way that we engage with advertising and the world. Another piece of research from another provider, Broadsign Reach, 2023. And of course, we are seeing these things as products and services start to become blended in an immersive blend of real world and digital world. We're starting to see almost the boundaries are being cast aside now. It is as good as the innovation and good as the creativity that you can think up And this applies to all of us. It is not just fashion and retail where this can score. If you think of every moment that you have a potential physical touch point with your target customer, how can you actually blend that into an immersive digital and real world experience? What is it you are going to do and offer that would be just too good to miss for your customer, bringing them into an extended and immersive, almost optimal customer journey, and taking them to various places where you can stimulate changes in behavior, you can inspire calls to action, you can encourage a conversion. It really is down to you plotting this out and figuring out where some form of out-of-home or real-world advertising experience can blend in with those heavyweight digital plans that you inevitably already have. And it will become, in many ways, the lifeblood of effective advertising, and creativity will sit right at the heart of this. A lovely, lovely quote here: creativity without strategy is called art, and creativity with strategy is called advertising. So if you're thinking that, this actually whets my appetite, this actually could be something curious and something interesting that I might like to explore and go deeper with, then potentially, if you can get creative using the concept of out-of-home advertising, not necessarily on the biggest, largest billboard that you could purchase, but actually maybe just creatively in the line of sight of your target audience, and actually inspire behavior, inspire interaction, inspire engagement, and think about how you can blend that real-world experience with a digital offering, maybe getting your customer to dance between the two as they take the next steps, plural steps, on their journey with you. There's a huge, huge opportunity here if you start to get creative. And in the world where we're increasingly spend time in the digital non-place, as you might call it, out-of-home advertising provides a human scale, grounded, powerful, and I would say probably quite well personalized medium. That was the Deputy Mayor of Paris a few years ago, describing actually how in Paris they're using out-of-home advertising to encourage people to look up and away from their screens, their little smartphones in the palm of their hands, just for a moment, to give you that sense of, I'm in a real place here. And okay, Paris, may well be one of those cities where you spend, possibly because of how attractive and beautiful and engaging and immersive it is in its entirety, maybe spend less time in a digital place and actually then think more about spending time in a real world sense again. So it is about blending. It is about really crafting an experience, but thinking of how advertising beyond the small screen of the smartphone or the desktop computer of your target audience can actually help them to really understand your brand and your propositions, really kind of feel that it's worth for a moment just drawing away from that smartphone screen and actually looking at your offer and what you're looking to say and looking to engage with you. And perhaps, just perhaps, this could be an opportunity for you to strike and gain competitive advantage. So who are getting competitive advantages by using out-of-home advertising? Well, as we've said, it's people who are creative, marketers who are creative with the way that they're using their out-of-home advertising. Look at this great example here from an example here in a high street where, based on the temperature, based on the amount of sunlight forecast in the weather, this interactive digital out-of-home advertising billboard responds in real time to this particular location's sun factor score and will actually say how your skin is going to be at risk today based on, the actual rating of the weather right now. So you don't have to look this up and figure it out for yourself. They're providing it to you. And of course, then in proximity to this will be a store where you can actually purchase this product. So what is it doing? It's inspiring you to walk into the store. It's not a special offer, but it's added value. So the question to you is, what kind of added value could you stimulate to get somebody to do something potentially they weren't even planning to do? Interesting example, that. And as we're seeing, a lot of these kinds of billboards are now becoming really interactive. And I talked before about personalization. If you're going down this route of out-of-home advertising, how can you make this personalized? How can you actually make your target customer engage in such a way that in that moment, they feel it's all about them, because they're actually part of this experience. And you can see in the example here, this particular person is actually part of the advertisement. They can see themselves celebrating, the impact of this lovely little car, which they've been considering. And so what they might have done is scan that code. They've got themselves up on screen. There they are. And now they're part of the ad. So you could say this is user-generated content. It's very shareable. It's very impactful. What could this do to your brand? If they become then the advocates of your brand, sharing again onwards through their social media, could be very, very interesting for how you then build that into your marketing and digital customer journey. And of course, it is all about proximity. Out-of-home advertising is a sense of place. It has a sense of place. So if you are, as in a very simple example here, this is all about saying, okay, if you like the look of this particular outfit, well, the store is right next to you. Just literally turn to the right and you can walk into the store and try it for yourself, at the same time as providing choice. This particular ad saying, scan this ad and get the app now to be able to then integrate your seamless journey in the physical sense with a digital experience at the same time. So maybe going into store to try it out and then maybe order it for home delivery on the app if it's not convenient for you to actually make the purchase there. So again, allowing choice. So what we've seen here is we're looking at high added value, not necessarily an overt sale. We're looking about making the examples immersive so that the customer or the target audience feels part of the experience. And then again, because of personalization, allowing choice, a digital journey from seeing and engaging with this particular piece, or a physical real world journey because of the proximity of it. And you can see here that JD as a brand here are saying very, very clearly, we understand you. We know where you are. We know how you are. We know what you like. We're going to give you choice because we trust that you're going to make the right decision for you. So really carefully crafted, carefully thought through out of home advertising as part of an overall journey. And where's this all going to go? We've introduced a few creative and innovative ideas here, but the future of out-of-home advertising is going to be interactive. And as David Krupp, former CEO of Kinetic North America, says, brands that invite consumers into the conversation will see the most success. In other words, if you can help your particular target audience to feel part of the experience beyond just pure personalization, beyond customization, but actually using those things at the same time as allowing choice, freedom of choice within carefully choreographed boundaries. This is the future. And the possibilities potentially within that kind of a space over and above your competition are endless. It's a really exciting space to be in. And extend that out one step further. And with the advent of metaverse retail channels, you potentially could even then start to blend the metaverse space. So extended reality, so not just virtual reality or augmented reality or real world reality or digital reality, but looking at an immersive extended reality, ensuring a cohesive brand story across all of your sales channels by blending potentially a metaverse retail platform into this same space. It really is quite exciting times for the future of out-of-home advertising. And so if all of your focus, whether you're a brand marketer, content creator, marketing strategist, marketing planner, or you're a more generalist marketer, if you're not thinking about your customers' out-of-home experience, the various touch points that they have in their daily lives, then you could be missing out on something that opens up a whole new world, a whole new series of channels that can really help you to extend your offer and become more meaningful for your customer. And I just want to leave you with this final quote, this final thought. Growing urbanisation, increasing digitisation, and accelerating technological innovation within the sector means that out-of-home communicates faster, more effectively, with greater flexibility, and increasingly benefits from a more reliable accountability. This stuff is measurable, this stuff is relevant, this stuff is engaging and immersive, and it might just be a few steps on your customer's journey that are currently missing. So I want to just leave you with that thought. How could I use the concept of out-of-home advertising within my existing customer journey to just add value, maybe stimulate more interaction and engagement, ultimately leading to better and more profitable sales?